Welcome to this explainer. We're diving straight into how utility-scale battery storage is, well, totally revolutionizing our energy grid right under our noses. You know, we constantly hear these loud debates about the future of energy, right? But while everyone is busy talking, these massive, real-world projects are literally being switched on as we speak. So today, we're going to use a brand new, absolutely massive battery installation down in Texas as our guide to really unpack this rapid global shift. To wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this transition, just take a look at this number, 500 megawatt hours. That's the capacity of this new battery installation that just went live. And what does that actually mean for us in the real world? Well, it means that if full output, this system can pump 250 megawatts of power directly into the grid for 2 solid hours. We're talking about enough juice to keep the lights on for hundreds of thousands of homes during an extreme peak demand event. It's just wild.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're kicking things off with the Texas Monster battery, then uncovering its plug-and-play secret, breaking down exactly how the battery makes money, looking at winning over rural communities, and finally, examining Tesla's quiet money machine. Let's get into it. Starting with Section 1, the Texas Monster battery, down at Ground Zero in Needville.
This project is officially known as Old 300 Storage, and it's located in Needville, just a bit southwest of Houston. But here's the really interesting part. Notice who actually owns it. This massive installation is built using Tesla Megapacks, sure, but it isn't actually owned by Tesla. It belongs to Ørsted, the massive Danish energy giant. And that tells us exactly who is eagerly buying up this kind of tech. This isn't some flashy vanity project. Major global utility players are snatching these systems up to stabilize their everyday networks.
And having this kind of backup capacity is absolutely crucial for the ERCOT grid, which covers most of Texas, especially when you look at its recent track record. Just look at this timeline. A lot of us remember the severe winter freeze back in 2021 that nearly collapsed the entire Texas grid. Well, fast forward to 2024, Ørsted got a massive 430 megawatt solar farm up and running, and now this 500 megawatt hour battery system is live. It's specifically designed to step in during those extreme weather events or blistering heat waves to make sure the supply and demand balance just doesn't falter.
Moving on to Section 2, the plug-and-play secret, and exactly why Tesla is winning these massive contracts.
So, you might be wondering, why on earth is a company famous for flashy consumer electric cars beating out dedicated raw battery manufacturers for these giant utility contracts? Like, why not just buy straight from the cell makers? Well, the secret is extreme simplicity. These batteries are built at a mega factory in Lothrop, California, where literally everything, the battery modules, inverters, thermal management, the controls, is totally integrated into a single box before it even leaves the factory floor. So on-site assembly basically boils down to 3 quick steps. You truck it in, you drop it on a concrete pad, and you plug it in. It's practically plug and play on an industrial scale, which dramatically slashes assembly time.
When you look at the metrics, it's honestly amazing how modular this whole system is. A single Megapack unit kicks out about 1.9 megawatts of power and holds 3.85 megawatt hours of storage. Because they're completely self-contained, scaling up is just a matter of dropping in more boxes. To hit that massive 500 megawatt hour capacity in Needville, they literally just lined up about 130 of these identical units in neat little rows in a Texas field. It's basically like giant, high-tech Lego blocks for the power grid.
Okay, on to Section 3. How the battery actually makes money through grid arbitrage.
From a grid design perspective, the setup here is pure genius. The Old 300 battery sits right next door to Ørsted's massive solar farm, which generates enough juice to power roughly 80,000 homes. Now, you might assume the battery is just locked into storing power directly from that solar farm next door. But check this out. They actually operate entirely independently. The battery doesn't have to just sit around waiting for the sun to shine. It pulls off the ultimate arbitrage by playing the wider ERCOT market. It charges itself from the grid whenever electricity is cheap and plentiful, and then turns around and discharges, selling that power back into the grid the exact second prices spike or supply gets dangerously tight.
But hey, it's not just about buying low and selling high. Beyond traditional arbitrage, these batteries are providing incredibly critical stabilization services. They actively manage grid voltage and frequency, which is a massive deal in a place like Texas right now. Think about it. Demand is absolutely climbing due to booming data center growth, a soaring population, and just general electrification across the board. When extreme weather tightens the power supply in a matter of hours, these batteries can react instantly to keep the whole system from tripping offline.
Let's slide into Section 4, winning over rural communities and the local windfall this creates.
You know, the argument that instantly wins over rural communities isn't always about saving the planet with green energy. Usually, it's just pure economics. Together, the solar farm and the battery site are projected to generate around $110 million in property tax revenue. And that massive influx of money goes straight into local school districts, community infrastructure, and emergency services. These energy projects are quite literally paying the bills for the surrounding town.
Impartially speaking, this direct quote perfectly nails the reality of the energy transition in rural areas. Some people hate solar, but they like money. It's so true. Political debates and polarization pretty much take a backseat when undeniable economic benefits start rolling in. Whether a community leans left or right politically, a $110 million injection into the local schools and fire departments is pretty universally welcomed. The pragmatism of reliable, local funding just wins out every time.
And finally, Section 5, Tesla's quiet money machine, looking at the big macro view. Let's take a look at this absolutely massive number, 58 gigawatt hours. That is the amount of industrial storage systems that Tesla currently has operating across more than 65 countries. Think about that scale for a second. The 500 megawatt-hour Texas project we've been geeking out about today, as massive as it is really just one single puzzle piece in a gigantic, rapidly expanding global footprint.
And this presents such a fascinating contrast. The noisy, everyday public debate is constantly fixated on Tesla's quarterly vehicle deliveries, right? Every headline is about how many cars they sold this month. But while everyone is busy arguing about the cars, this energy storage sector is quietly compounding in the background. It's actually a highly lucrative, higher margin business than selling vehicles. It is steadily becoming one of the most critical parts of the entire company, and it's practically hiding in plain sight.
It's an almost ironic reality that Texas, the undisputed oil and gas capital of America, has so enthusiastically embraced battery storage tech, making it the fastest-growing market in the world, right alongside California. Why? Well, it's definitely not about an ideological debate. It's driven by the simple fact that these batteries can be built extremely fast, they stabilize the grid incredibly well, and they make a whole lot of money.
So, knowing how fast these plug-and-play systems can stabilize power grids and seeing how they generate massive revenue, both locally for communities and globally for operators, it leaves us with one pretty provocative thought to wrap up this explainer. Are we entirely too focused on the electric cars when the batteries are quietly conquering the world? The energy transition isn't just coming, it's already here, compounding in fields across the globe. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and keep your eyes on the grid.